Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Reva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanitrambike Devi Narayani Namostute Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Shivaya Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha Shri Paramagurubhyo Namaha Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 6th of July 2025. I want to offer my prostrations, Anandakoti Namaskara, Dandvat Pranam to all the great sages present on the planet today, to Bhagavan residing in the heart of every being, and to all the sages, great beings yet to come, who have come in the past. With their blessings, we are continuing to examine the 10th Bhakti, which is Prem-Lakshana Bhakti. To continue further from yesterday, we are examining Haladini Shakti. Just as a quick reminder, as a quick review, there are infinite types of powers of Paramatma, and specifically with regards to Bhakti and the 10th Bhakti, we are looking at Haladini Shakti, but there's also two others, and that is Sandhini and Samvit. So Sandhini, Samvit, and Haladini. Haladini Shakti is Ananda, boundless bliss. It is Maha Ananda. And it is that Ananda that we all are seeking in life. You know, what is the purpose of life? What is the goal of life? What is the ultimate destination in life? And that ultimate destination, the goal of life, is to obtain this extraordinary Mahabhav Sthiti, or at least some aspect of that. So that is the affective rasa spectrum, that rasa increases step by step by step. It increases into Mahabhav. Now, to continue from yesterday, so within the sophisticated energetic metaphysics of the Vaishnava Parampara, specifically Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, Haladini Shakti, which is the internal ecstatic potency of Bhagavan Krishna, has a central position. What does that mean? Energetic metaphysics. It's a great energy flowing through our body, mind, senses. But that energy has a metaphysical realm, metaphysical dimension. Metaphysical meaning beyond the material world. And this is where the doctrine of liberation, spiritual liberation, called soteriology, is applicable. Because, why? By translating abstract metaphysical reality into tangible ecstatic intensity known as rasa. That which is happening in the divine abode, in the divine dham, where the muktas are in communion with Bhagavan Krishna, that same rasa is available for us here. It's tangible due to the aesthetic intensity, meaning our body, mind, senses, our energies. We have that capacity to experience or to enjoy transcendental rasa. Transcendental meaning that which is beyond, that rasa beyond the material rasa. So there's a distinction between the material level rasa within the three gunas of Maya, Sattva, Raja, Tama. There is definitely that experience. Rajsik bhav, for example. You know, let's talk about that a bit further. Let's say we have some really tasty dish. We have 4 or 5 items. They taste really great. They taste wonderful. We like them a lot. You know, that is part of Rajas, Rajogun. Maybe the quality of the food is more sattvic. Then still there's rasa in that. But that is in this modality of sattva. But now there is the possibility of going beyond all three of these. This is called transcendental rasa. This is the 10th Bhakti. 10th bhakti is where the rasa is opening further into Mahabhav. So that there is no break, meaning all of our manovritti, internal powers, our mental capacity, it is continuously connected in one form or another with Bhagavan. That is never forgotten. It is never away from one's mind. Why is that? Due to the extraordinary realization of the Mahatmya. Mahatmya meaning glory, significance, power. Give me just one. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so it is a matter of awareness. A lot of this has to do with being aware of where our manovritti, our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, our ideas, etc., where are they going? In Gujarati, this is called Janpanu. Janpanu means awareness. Without awareness about where our vritti, our internal mechanism of the mind, which direction it is going in, without that awareness, we will not be able to actually direct our vritti towards Paramatma. Our vritti is directed towards the objects of the world, the stories of the world, the people of the world, the experiences through the five senses, yes. And that is also necessary. Obviously, that is definitely necessary. We cannot say that is meaningless or useless. No. It is necessary, but it requires viveka. That boundary, how much and what quality of input to bring into the mind, that decision has to be there. If that decision is not there, we will not be able to actually reach this state of Mahabhav. Reaching the state of supreme ecstatic emotion, if we want to reach divine emotion, then this viveka with the world is necessary. The world is not hated or anything like that. There's no reaction against the world, but the world is within the realm of the three gunas of Maya. It's just rolling around in that circle only. There's really nothing new in that. I mean, there is new in terms of the experiences they can be expanded, but fundamentally it's just within the material world only. I'll give you some examples of what we mean by that. Take astronomy. Take the field of astronomy. Before, at one point they thought the Andromeda galaxy was just a nebula. Nobody knew, that was a different galaxy. Until the Hubble Space Telescope actually saw it. Edwin Hubble is the one who saw that galaxy, and then he postulated it's a galaxy. It's not just some part of the Milky Way. Right? So the knowledge keeps expanding. Yes, is it possible to expand knowledge of the galaxies, of the outer world, outer reality? Yes, now we have James Webb Space Telescope. It's going so deep into space to see ancient galaxies. It's more and more expansive realization, expansive experience of the material world. But it's not beyond the material world. That's the difference. We can keep expanding the experience of the material world endlessly. There will be no end to that. And there is no end to it. From the cosmic level, macro level, to the micro level. We keep breaking subatomic particles and more subatomic particles and everything else in between, all of the knowledge in between. Yes, this is all coming through the senses or the extension of the senses, aparavidya. But it's within the material world realm, bhautik jagata, inferior energy of Bhagavan Krishna. The external potency. Remember we talked about this. That is called the external potency. And the great Vaishnava Acharyas have talked about that. That external potency is called Bahir Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti or Bahir Shakti. That is the material universes. Millions and millions of them is Bahir Shakti. It's amazing, right? So the Antah Shakti is the actual doorway. That's what we have to focus on. This Bahir Shakti, to some extent, I mean, science and technology and all that thing is going on. There's no end to that, and that will keep going on and going on and going on forever. That's what Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita. There's no end to my glory, to my manifestation. Iska to koi anti nahi hai. It is infinite. It's ananta. This Bahir Shakti is ananta. It is infinite. So that just goes on and on and on and on. Now, the amazing part is where you actually take this Antaha Shakti. And that's what we can focus on, this internal energy, which is inside of us. That internal energy is then manifested, or that internal energy is available as Haladini Shakti, Samvit Shakti, or as Sandhini. That's the abode, that's the consciousness of who we are in connection to the Leela of Bhagavan, like that. Again, we'll get into all of that. The point here, because this terminology can be difficult to understand at times. The point is that we need to put a Viveka boundary. Viveka boundary means range of experience within which a bhakta needs to remain to protect bhakti. If I do not maintain a range of experience, that my eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue, within a range of the material world, I want to keep it in that range. Why? Because if I keep it in a certain range, it will benefit me in the worldly experience. It will take my life, my family life, my professional life, my mental life. It will take it further by putting a boundary around the experience. If we do not put a boundary around the experience, then progress will not happen, not in the material world, and definitely not in the spiritual world. For example, if someone is a student, they have to put a boundary that so many hours I'm going to study. I have to put my mind here, on the subjects, the knowledge that comes from. If I say, no, I'm just going to do anything and everything I want to do, that doesn't work. A boundary has to be put. Then only progress is possible. Otherwise, there's no progress possible at all in material life, family life, relational life, or spiritual life. There is no progress possible. And that is what is meant by Viveka. Viveka means putting a boundary. That I'm going to put a boundary of experience, of time, and what kind of experience to have, the quality and the quantity, and then on that basis, continue to move forward in the path that I want to go towards the destination. So it depends what we are wanting. If we just want material happiness and sukham, yes, we can have that. And you can still do mantras for that. As we mentioned before, Shiv mantras, Devi mantras, even bhakti can be done. Bhagavan Krishna says also, you can worship me. He says, Bhagavan Krishna says, you can worship God for material things if you want. Artho, Artharthi, Jignasu, and Gnani, 4 types of devotees are there. That's the way it goes. So it is possible to do bhakti based on wanting material things. Yes, you can do that. But even that is limited. And maybe if some issue is there, some difficulties are done, nothing wrong. Sakam bhakti, ask. If you want to ask for Paramatma, or sadhana karo, bhakti karo. There's no problem in that at all. In fact, it's good to do that and let go of all the tension. Don't carry any tension, any worry, any fear. Turn it over to Paramatma. Do your duty and let him take care of it. You can ask. Ask whatever you want to ask, and ask him, and he will, at some point it will all come. It'll happen in some way or other. Now, having said that, as we are progressing, if the destination is set that we want, this Mahabhav, higher level devotion, if you really want that, want to see Bhagavan, want to have that Anubhava Paramatma, then definitely there is the aesthetic intensity that shows up, meaning a lot of joy. Rasa shows up. And there's different forms of rasa. Many different types of rasa are there. Many, many, many types. We're going to talk about them. But for our purposes right now, we want to understand the concept of rasa. Rasa is transcendental emotional relish. To relish means to enjoy, अनुभव करना, ये रस का. दिव्य आनंद का अनुभव है ये. दिव्य आनंद का. So rasa is not merely an emotional response. Rather, it is the essence of spiritual experience itself, making a dynamic communion with this Supreme Paramatma. Right? So, what is the difference? We all have emotional responses. We get emotional from time to time. We get even emotional in bhakti sometimes. Yes, but it's not just that. It's much more than that. It is the essence of spiritual experience itself. Adhyatmik anubhav ka saransh ye hai. That is rasa. So what is this spiritual experience? What is that? That's what I was showing the other day. That as we continue walking on the path towards bhakti, that anubhav begins to open up from inside. What is the very first anubhav? What are the types of experiences? When we say spiritual experience, what is it that, what is the anubhav? Well, the very first thing is shantarasa. We become steady. We become still. Our mind, our senses, they become very, very calm. जीवन में स्थिरता आ जाती है. And that is called shantaras. There are so many rasas, and this is one of them. So shanta bhav, ekagrata. And in that, our buddhi awakens. So in that shantaras, in that shanti, in that great stability, Jnana and Vairagya begin to open beautifully. Dharma, Jnana, Vairagya. Our capacity to study, to contemplate, to do seva, to think about higher ideals, to not be stuck in lower realms of consciousness, all of that opens up naturally, experientially. That is why rasa is no longer just an emotional experience, it is transcendental emotional relishing. It is the essence of spiritual experience. And in that spiritual experience, there is dynamic communion. Dynamic communion, dynamic means that it is active. The activity of bhakti, it goes on, it doesn't stop. And it is communion. There is a relationship with Bhagavan, with the Supreme Paramatma. There is a relationship established with Paramatma. Now, let's talk about that a bit. Relationship, we already know how to do this because we have relationships with our parents, we have relationship with our children, grandchildren, people of the world, our friends, etc. We have relationship structures already. But the only difference is those relationships are just at the material level, usually. There could be real love and all that, and that's beautiful if there is such a thing. But when we are establishing a relationship with Bhagavan, Bhagvat Tattva, that means that our buddhi, mind, intelligence, vritti, bhavana is tuned to the swarup, the frequency, the teachings, the leela, etc. of Bhagavan, of God. It is a tuning to the Ishtadevata. Isn't this what happens when a young couple comes together? Let's say you have two 25-year-olds who started to develop a relationship. They have to tune to each other. They like each other. Then the person begins to tune to what the other person wants. Their likes, their life, their kind of activity. We already do this. This is not anything new. When there is a relationship that is being established, there is the tuning, the gross tuning, and then eventually, as the time goes on, fine tuning. Two kinds of tuning are there, gross tuning and fine tuning. And that is how a relationship is built. That is called communion. This is a Christian word also. You get those communion wafers and communion with Jesus and all. Same concept is there. It is a very beautiful state of living to be in a state of communion, because that the bhakta is aware of the glory of Paramatma, what that Paramatma wants through the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, etc. And then the Leela, the Charitra, the glory, the rasa that comes out of devotional songs, etc. And with that communion, remaining in that communion of bhakti, activity is performed in the external world naturally as a karma yoga, but that karma yoga is not something independent of bhakti. It is a part and parcel of bhakti only. So if you were to look at the yogas this way, that karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyan yoga, sankhya yoga, all yogas are like these different bases, but it's like a tripod. Karma yoga, dhyan yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, like this, like a tripod, like the base. And bhakti is at the top. That they all connect with bhakti. That if we have real bhakti, particularly this Mahabhav, then all of the yogas intersect within that. Then every action performed by the senses, by the tongue, by the hands, by the legs, हमारी जो सब इंद्रिया है, पंच ज्ञान इंद्रिय, पंच कर्म इंद्रिय, वो भक्ति रूप में आ जाती है. कर्म मात्र भक्ति रूप થઈ જાય. वचनामृत में भी महाराज कहते हैं on this point that all of our actions become bhakti रूप. कितनी सुंदर बात है. How fantastic is that? And in some sense it seems very hard. Actually, it's nothing hard. If we are in that Mahabhav, once we get a glimpse of the 10th bhakti, actions naturally are going to be non-entangled, karmic. There's no karma accumulated, and the action performed is all offered at the feet of God. There's no me that is doing anything at that point. Action is being performed without aham and mamatva, which we talked about before. So this is the potency. It's extraordinary potency, very beautiful. I'll just take another minute here, then we'll stop. So what is rasa? What is the point for today? Understand the meaning of rasa for all of us together. Rasa is spiritual experience, the essence of spiritual experience, marking a dynamic communion with God. And that's why Shri Radhika ji, Srimati Radha ji, in Gaudiya Vaishnava theology, Parampara, and Tattvagnan stands as the very summit and personification of this ecstatic potency, Mahabhava Swarupini, embodying the expression of the highest possible intensity of divine love. Who doesn't want that? Kisko nahi chahiye ye? Who doesn't want love? Everybody wants love. Everybody has a need to express love. There's two things in life. Let's close with this point. In our day-to-day experience, we all have a need to get love from others. And we have a need to give love towards others. But that is fulfilled, 100% fulfilled, once we begin to love God. If we begin to love Paramatma, that same Paramatma, samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha, ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyam. Once you start worshipping the Paramatma, that same Paramatma present in everyone begins to connect with us. Every being becomes loving. It's amazing what happens. You don't need to try to get others to love us. We don't need to make an effort to love anybody. Because once we are in tuned with Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, automatically there is love flowing towards all, towards the essence of all, that is the Atma and the Paramatma. So we don't need to worry about the raga and dvesha and the back and forth pulling that usually happens through raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. We try to find love. We cannot find love that way. We'll never find love that way. What we will find is a lot of bondage, lot of suffering, lot of dislike, lot of division, lot of negativity and entangled attachment. through raga and dvesha. That is not love. That is not love at all. But to even find out what is love, भगवान की 9 प्रकार की भक्ति करनी, मंत्रों करने, भगवान के जो मंत्र है, चरित्रों कर, that is the Sanatana Dharma. Stotras, mantras, all that. The more we are engaged in that, we are going to tap into the reality, the real tattva, the real rasa. And then from that rasa, through that rasa, we interact with all. इसको क्या कहते हैं? That interaction is divya kriya, it is divya drishti, it is divya bhavana. दूसरों के साथ जो संबंध में हम रहते हैं, वो सब दिव्य संबंध बन जाता है. किसी के साथ राग द्वेष नहीं होता रहता, किसी के भी साथ नहीं. दिव्य प्रेम में भक्त आ जाता है. कितनी सुंदर बात है. दिस इज राधिका जी की दया है, कृपा है, कृपा कटाक्ष. उनकी जब कृपा होती है, महारानी राधा रानी, उनकी जो कृपा होती है वो कृपा कटाक्ष. इट इज कृपा कटाक्ष. इट्स अ ग्लैंस. भक्त पर अनुग्रह करते. शी blesses the devotee with भक्ति. वो उनकी परम कृपा है. ये वो महाभाव स्वरूपिणी है. उनके आगे तो कुछ नहीं. That is the topmost Shakti. The whole purpose of all of the energies in the Brahmand is to link with this Mahabhav Swarupini. It is the only purpose. Durga upasna, Mahalakshmi upasna, किसी की भी उपासना, देवी उपासना, कालिका की उपासना, कालिका देवी की उपासना, जो भी माता जी की उपासना है, 9 प्रकार की जो भक्ति, जैसे 9 दुर्गा का स्वरूप है, 10 महाविद्या. What is the purpose of all of that? Those are doorways into Radhika ji's Mahabhav. That is where it culminates. You can start with Chamunda Devi, Kalika Devi. You can start with the 10 Mahavidya, start with Mahalakshmi, Bala Tripura Sundar. You can start with anybody you want. Koi baat nahi. It all goes to Radhika ji, to Mahabhav Swarupini. She is the Adhishtatri Devi of Golok Dham. और वो उनके हाथ में सब कुछ है. There one more final point. ये जो प्रेम है, ये जो भाव है, how tremendous is it? Around Golok Dham are billions of Brahmand, infinite. स्वामीनारायण भगवान कहते ब्रह्मांड ने कोटान कोटि ब्रह्मांड गोलोक ની આજુબાજુ છે. कोटान कोटि ब्रह्मांड वेदरस में लिखा है. अमेजिंग बात है सब ये सब. अब ये बहुत ऊपर के लेवल की सब आध्यात्मिक स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड की बात है. भगवान भक्तों को ले जाते हैं वहां. एक्चुअली इंटरेस्टिंगली द भक्त डजंट इवन हैव डिजायर टू सी दोस थिंग्स. God shows them, no doubt, definitely, but the bhakta doesn't have. Bhakta is so ecstatic while living in this body. वो ecstasy में है, वो महाभाव में पहुंच गए हैं. उसको तो कुछ नहीं चाहिए. उसको तो doesn't want anything from Paramatma except to love Paramatma, and in that love that seva comes. उसको 5 kinds of mukti are there in Srimad Bhagavad chapter. This canto 3, Skanda 3, chapter 29, verse 12, 13, 14. We're going to look at those verses later on. 5 प्रकार की 5. They say 4 चतुर्धा mukti, but there's actually 5. And those are available. भगवान देते, स्वयं देते वो. भक्त की तो इच्छा भी नहीं है इसके लिए. It's amazing. There's a beautiful bhajan. Hari janane ghera betha tirat nitya govinda guna gave re. Harina jana mukti nava mage. There's a beautiful bhajan. In fact, if you don't mind, I will just show it to you. Give me just a moment. It's just absolutely fantastic. Hold on one moment. This bhajan encapsulates the essence of what we're talking about. Let's listen to this. Just take a few minutes here. You see the meaning of this. Hari janane ghera betha tirat nitya govinda guna gavere. Just where you are at home, wherever, nitya govinda guna gavere. I mean, continuous bhakti of Govinda, of Paramatma, continues this way. It's a beautiful bhajan. This is actually, there's several versions of this. Is not the one I was looking, but it's all right. Maybe we can listen to it. Line is Adsata Tirtha Santa Sabhava. What it means is there are 68 Tirtha. Tirtha meaning holy places. So when a bhakta, okay, let's just stop. We'll go over time. Otherwise, I'll continue this tomorrow. But I want to just mention this point. There are 68 holy places. Adsat Tirath. Adsat means 68, I believe. Adsat Tirath, Sant Sabha Mare. Harijan ne ghera betha Tirath nitya govinda guna gavere. If a bhakta reaches Mahabhav, Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, those 68 Tirath, holy places, they come to the devotee in divine form, and they follow the bhakta wherever that bhakta goes. It's something extraordinary that happens. This is not some imaginary or allegory thing. It's not like that. Once you start reaching Mahabhav, the holy places that are in the world, they are existing in subtle sukshma form, and that divinity, उनकी वो जो तीर्थ है, वो सब भक्त के पास आते हैं, and they start following the bhakta around. Some alokik things happen. There's amazing divine experiences that begin to happen once you reach Mahabhav. So, Adasat Tirata Santa Sabhama, Nitya Govinda Gunagavere, Harina Jana Mukti Navamage. So it is something so fantastic that the devotees of Paramatma do not ask for mukti. They don't need to ask for mukti, because rasa is so powerful, so extraordinary. Itna alaukik anand hai isme, to kuch ichha hi nahi rehti. So Bhagwan, it is called in Gujarati, Balatkare Bhagwan char prakarni mukti bhakta ne api dech. He by force he gives it to the Paramatma. Think about that. The bhakta doesn't want anything except just to love. And Bhagwan आधीन बन जाते हैं. तो भगवान क्या करते हैं परमात्मा, कि उनके पास जो उनका जो स्वरूप, जो तत्व है, वो साक्षात वो भक्त में वो भक्त के साथ जाता है. So संतते स्वयं हरि, Sant Sarvati Mota, it is saintliness and all that is automatically there in this Maharasa. And to open that doorway, that is the grace of Shri Radhika Ji. ये तो बहुत अद्भुत बात है. We need 1,000 hours to talk about all this. Let's stop now for now. We'll continue. Just main thing is for our purpose. May Bhagwan Krishna, Radhika Ji and all the great sages, they bless us with this bhakti. And if we can get a glimpse of that even and live our life that way, the जीवन सार्थक बन जाता है, जीवन दिव्य बन जाता है, जीवन अलौकिक बन जाता है, जीवन प्रेममय बन जाता है, और जीवन में महाभाव की प्राप्ति होती है और भगवान का साक्षात्कार होता है. With that, let's close up here. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara गुरुरेव परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते. या देवी सर्वभूतेषु महालक्ष्मी रूपेण संस्थिता. नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः. ओम ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विचं ग्लौं हुं क्लीं जुं सः ज्वालय ज्वालय ज्वल ज्वल प्रज्वल प्रज्वल ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विच ज्वल हं सं लं क्षं फट् स्वाहा. ओम दुर्गे दुर्गे रक्षिणी ठ ठ स्वाहा. ओम श्री दुर्गार्पणमस्तु. ओम श्री राधा कृष्णार्पणमस्तु. ओम ह्रीं स्वाहा.